Hey everyone, my name is Emil. I'm just making a video to, I guess, reintroduce this LMS 2024 project. The reason why I'm doing this is because last Tuesday there was a Google event or whatever at Conestoga College. Um, there was actually a lot of people that signed up from that. So we do have quite a few yes, new participants or whatever, and they should be kind of trickling in as they stumble on and stumble upon and accept their invitation. So, if you're new or even if you're not, welcome. Uh, I'll try to keep this video a little short, and what I'll try to do is make multiple videos that cover different parts. With this video just being a general overview. So, um, this is a software project that you can participate in. It's really meant to help people learn about the software development process. So the topic of this project is like a learning management system. So like D2L or Blackboard or those kinds of things. But I don't want the focus to be on creating the best next learning management system. Instead, I just wanted to use something that's there's actually a few criteria that I was thinking about when I picked this topic, um, but mainly it was like something that people are somewhat familiar with, something that has different kinds of users. So you have like students and you have teachers, um, but also something that like it's kind of easy. Like it should be a fairly basic idea. We're not making like a self-driving rocket ship or anything like that. Um, and so that's on purpose. So that doesn't mean to say that it's going to be easy. There's going to be a lot. There's going to be difficult parts, hopefully, for people to learn, and there is a lot of work. You can see we have 62 issues. This is a little inflated because uh, some of the issues are just kind of intro issues, but I did do some planning for the uh, upcoming weeks, and there is a lot. So uh, that doesn't mean that people have to like invest a lot of time on this. Whatever people don't end up taking up, I will just do. But if you're worried that like, oh, after like 2 weeks we're gonna be done, no, we're I'm hoping to have stuff for at least 8 months. Um, but in theory, I'm wanting this project to kind of be able to go on indefinitely. Um, but we'll see. So that's an overview of the project. I'll now talk about kind of like how the project is structured. One thing to know is that every software project kind of they do things maybe a little differently. Um, so if you go to a company, they might have their processes. Um, where I work, we have different teams that actually have their own set of processes. So it is very uh, bespoke, I guess. Um, uh, so what I chose for this project is hopefully something that's straightforward and makes sense. I'm always have an ear for if you have ideas for improvement. Um, However, if you suggest something, because that's what you did at your last company or you did at your last team, that doesn't mean that I will necessarily implement it. Because while I do like to improve things, I don't want to like continually change our processes a lot, because we do have a lot of people here, and not everyone's going to be like having the ears to the ground about what's the latest process. So, uh, so with that, I'll just quickly go over our um, project. So we're using GitHub. If you're not familiar, GitHub is a way to host your code. Yeah, you can think of it like Google Drive. Is kind of the common analogy. The reason why we don't just use a Google Drive is partially in part of the name. So it's GitHub because the underlying technology behind GitHub is Git. This doesn't mean that GitHub invented Git or whatever. They just use Git. And really, there's GitHub, there's Azure DevOps, there's Bitbucket, maybe, I don't know. There's an Atlassian product. There's a lot of different things. Just like there's Google Drive, OneDrive, and iCloud. I think has their own. Apple has their own thing. They all do the same thing basically, but they're from different companies. We're using the one from GitHub because it's there and it's free. And the other ones are free too, but GitHub's pretty good, so we'll use it. So we're using GitHub. The project is EH Harvey, which is me, slash LMS 2024. And you'll see when you go to any kind of GitHub or really any like software project page, you'll see the code here. This is kind of like the files. And then one of those files is a README. So that content just gets like stuck here. And I want to update this at some point, but that's a to do. So yeah, so here's the project. On the top right hand side is where you can clone the project. I really recommend you use this thing called the GitHub CLI. It's basically a command line tool that lets you like use GitHub very easily. But if you don't want to invest that time, that's okay. There's other methods too. Probably what you would want is HTTPS. Now, how do you kind of set up all these things? As I mentioned, GitHub uses Git, so you will need to install this thing called Git on your computer, which is, and there's some other steps that I want you to install. So what we have is this wiki. So this is a wiki website. You can go to it. It's actually just emilharvey.ca/LMS-2024. And then you can click on the Getting Started page, and it will tell you what you'll need to install. I kind of just say make sure Git is installed. I don't provide instructions here on how to use it or how to get it. Oh, actually I do. I lied. But you really just want to go to like, you just Google Git, and then you figure out how to install it. If you're on Windows, there's these instructions. I'm on Linux. I like Linux, but I'm not gonna force anyone to use any particular operating system. Ditto, if you're using Mac, you can just there's instructions on how to use Mac. But yeah, there's the instructions here. And this wiki, I'm trying to have that as like the source of truth for everything. So any reference, like if you're unsure about anything, I do want the wiki to be like your first place of contact. And if something's missing from the wiki, and then you like ask me or something, like how to do it, and I tell you, you can add it to the wiki, and I would be very grateful if you did. Yeah, and this wiki is part of the Git repository. So, and that's intentional because I want people to kind of easily be able to contribute to it. But in addition, if you're somebody that maybe is like a little weaker in your software skills and that kind of stuff, if you can write some, I mean, this looks fancy, but if you look at the actual like documentation pages, we'll get to that. Go to the Getting Started one. Oh, it looks fancy here even. I'll show you the raw file. This is basically all it is. So like it's just literal text, and then for a heading it has like a little pound sign or number sign, you know. It's a thing called Markdown, but it's very, very easy. So if you're someone that, you know, you don't feel comfortable like with your coding just yet, you can always help with the wiki, and like don't underestimate it. That ability to, because people who write good documentations is few and far between, um, and I think like for me, my part of the reason I was hired to jobs is because I can write documents. So yeah. On the topic of like reference, like how do you get help? We also have a Slack. I can open that real quick. Um, so we have a Slack here. Slack is like a Discord, like it's just a chat type thing. I'm not very happy with Slack because we're on the free tier, and um, it's just like a little, I don't know, limiting. I think we're on the a trial, and then we'll be stuck on the free tier afterwards. Um, but yeah, we'll see how I like it afterwards. But for now, the call using it is for chat, so it should be fine. But yeah, if you join the Slack, yeah, you can join through this link. I think it should just work, and from there, you can post messages and stuff. People tend to just DM me, which is fine. But if you have a question that you think more than one person's gonna have, like, please put it in a channel. And I think anyone can just create channels too. So like, go nuts. Like, please do that. Um, Especially if I'm not around when you're asking a question, like maybe someone else is and they can help you. Um, that would be great. So yeah, so that's the kind of the place for references. The last place for like information type stuff is our discussions, which I'm slowly learning that the discussions is a little kind of out of the way. Not everyone's seeing them, so I'm not entirely sure what's the next steps with discussions. But for now, do look over the discussions and read them. Um, because I'll try to post like update type stuff. So this one's about our second iteration. So basically our second week of work. And I just talk about stuff. It's up there. So, but now that I think of it, maybe that could be stuck in the wiki. I don't know. But for now, please check the discussions. I think that that's kind of a hit or miss with me. So cool. So partly that should be enough information to get you started. I'll try to. I'm at 12 minutes now, so I'll just kind of wrap up the last bit. So I talked about the project. I talked about kind of basic steps to get started, where to find information. The last bit is where do you find things to do, and that will be in your issues. So you can see there's a lot of issues with this like generated sub issue, blah blah blah. So these are just like auto-generated issues that when you join the project, you get assigned this issue that's just like, please put your name in the credits on our wiki. So it should be just a very easy task to get started with. Technically, you don't need to do it, but it is something to try out. And wow, so that's a lot of the people that joined from the Google event on Tuesday. Other events is, I think if I can just do able, I don't know. Other type of issues to do. Well, maybe what I'll do is I'll show unassigned. So these are issues that are assigned to nobody. So these are there's a few ways to do it, but maybe what I'll do is instead of this, I'll do milestones. So what a milestone in GitHub is just kind of like a, you can think of it like a due date. Right, the project will continue after the due date, but it's just like a way to like be like, okay, by, so in this case, like by November, I want these things done. So if you go to the milestones and go to 2024-11, you'll see the kind of work that's going on. A lot of this work is assigned to somebody or different people, but this is work that's open. So my hope is that every week we post more work to do. They'll be unassigned, and then there'll be a kind of a period where people can just sign up to them. and then you know it's off to the races. So please, like, please use this, because this is how we're going to synchronize. So to prevent two people from doing the same thing, uh, someone will come here, someone will assign themselves, and then other people looking at that issue will be like, okay, someone else is doing it. I can reach out to them maybe, or I know at least not to just like try to do it as well, because I don't want two people to do the same thing and then get frustrated. And of course, there's like a comments option on here as well. So like, if you really want to do it, you could be like, please, let me do this. But so far, there's enough work to go around. And maybe what I can do is, I'm not sure. So I'll just show as a demo. If I was to take up this item, I will go to the page. I see, hey, there's nobody on it, so I'll assign myself. And then when you're going to actually start work on it, you want to do a thing called create a branch. And this will create a branch in Git for you that you can then check out. And what a branch basically is, it's like, I feel like every time I describe this, it's always I always describe it in a different way. But what a branch is, it's like a way to contribute changes to the project without like messing with everyone else's changes. So imagine like we're all like writing a newspaper, and there's like different stories. There's like ads on a newspaper. There's like pictures and stuff. It's hard to like have one newspaper and then everyone's like trying to like write in on it or whatever. So instead, imagine that everyone kind of goes off separately, and they're like, okay, I'll get some pictures, and then I'll get some the stories and stuff, like the text I want on the stories, and I'll get the ads, and then we all come together and assemble it. That's like how Git works. Of course, it's a very weak analogy, but it is what we're going to be using. So what I'll do is I'll create a branch. You know what? I'll just create this. You don't really need to worry about the name. And I'll show you why in a second. But I'll just call this one ABCDE. And so I'll create the branch, and I'll click this, and then you can see here that it shows up. So basically, what GitHub knows is that this branch relates to this item of work. And so that's why I said the branch name doesn't really matter, because I can just go in here and, I usually don't go from a branch and be like, what was this branch for? I usually go to an issue and be like, hey, like, okay, we have this issue. What is the work for that? And in that case, it's this thing called ABCDE. But usually just use this default name, and that's okay. Cool. So that's how you can do work. This type of instructions and whatnot is in our wiki. So it is under developments and how to complete issues. I have a super long, like 45-minute video on it as well. So watch that. But yeah, that's how you'll be completing work. Now, if you want to get a bit of a like larger point of view of the project, you can go to the project section and then click this project. And I have a lot of stuff. So I believe everyone can at least see this. And then like click on an issue. So you can actually click on an issue here. And then do the same thing for like assigning yourself and whatever. And the nice thing about this projects page is that I have this is a nice Kanban board. So this first one's called personal one. So it's only for items that are assigned to me. So that's kind of helpful. So anyone that goes onto this board will see just the issues that are assigned to them. So hopefully that's a nice convenient thing. So you can assign yourself to stuff and then go here and be like, okay, what did I have to do? This pane has a lot of draft issues, but it has a lot of things that uh, are just unassigned. So you can look at here for like a good list of unassigned stuff for this week. And then I have more stuff for myself. This is like a team-wide Kanban board. I have a Gantt chart, which I need to like rethink how I want to use that. And then I have a backlog where and you can see like I use this space to like think of stuff to do. Because these issues that don't have the little green thing are drafts, so they don't appear in the repository yet or on like the GitHub like repo page. But I'll keep track of it, and then I'll figure out what I want to do with it, and then I'll put it there. And then this last one, this one's just listing iterations. So it's nice to have multiple views because it can be like, okay, how much work am I trying to get people to do this week versus next week, and that kind of stuff. And yeah, with that, we're at 20 minutes, so I'll cut it off there. I'll make additional videos on like the project code itself, just to try to give an overview of that. And yeah, I hope this video was helpful. If you have any further questions, please reach out on Slack. I know I gave out my Discord to a bunch of folks. That's fine, but I'll probably, if you message me on Discord, I'll be like, I'll answer your question, like whatever. But then I'll tell you to go to Slack. So at some point, I'm going to be more encouraging for people to like message on the channels on Slack, just so that we can get conversations going. Because I think that will be helpful for everyone. Yeah, hope this video was helpful. And I'll see you in the next one if you choose to watch it.